it's fine. Just a little bit more tired than I thought I was, maybe. So
I think Null's colored shirt probably threw you off.
well, it's not covered. Welcome to Game of Nodes, a weekly podcast from independent validator teams, one of whom has a grey coloured shirt. Yes, grey is a colour.
I said collared.
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 Yeah,
Collared.
like coloured greens.
Collared.
What's weird about this collar? Sorry.
I've never seen him wearing a collared shirt before. It is on iron though, so you should have some recollection of that.
Does that make it balance out?
I don't
know.
Do you both own?
I've never ironed a shirt in my fucking life. Unlike Dr. Frey, who irons them on the table between the beer bottles.
So, yeah, we're not
under duress, I should say. He was
so,
like, "Do I have to?" I was like, "You have to."
Like, yeah. So what happened? So last week, Usurper and I were at SmartCon shilling the podcast actually more than any kind of services, as it turned out. I think
smart move on our part.
I probably had more conversations about the podcast than I did about
Seriously.
what Needlecast offer in terms of infrastructure, which in hindsight was not the smartest use of a trip. Yeah, and had at least twice had a property as NFT project shilled to me, because apparently I look like somebody that wants to talk about that.
I mean, that's so 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I felt sorry for them, but I felt more sorry for me having to listen to it. But it takes a bit of time to work out what the correct, polite British exit from a conversation is, because it's very situational. And so I was kind of stuck in the meantime. It was teeth crunchingly bad. It was bad. Those were the two low points. They were the two low points actually in a 3-day period where also got pickpocketed and lost a bunch of stuff. So it was an expensive trip, and had to deal with property NFT chat, which was worse than getting pickpocketed, would be my review of Barcelona. So there you go. Barcelona.
So not only did you have to deal with property NFT chat, you also shilled the potty, which means that they're probably going to watch it and now hear you dissing their property NFT chat. So
that's pretty optimistic that they're going to watch.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to watch.
I didn't shill the podcast to people who I didn't at least say one thing that I wanted to. Whatever, man. They didn't get shilled to because I didn't think they were the podcast kind of people. Our listeners, as we know from the extensive battery of mass surveillance techniques we unleash on our audience, we know that they're very highly evolved humans. And these NFT bozos were not the kind of creme de la creme of the human race that we want to listen to our podcast, although all are welcome. In fact, there's a bit of imposter syndrome I've heard amongst our audience. You're sitting there and you're thinking, well, am I in fact the quality, the grade A++, the turns out to 11 kind of individual that is able to listen to this podcast? Well, you've self-selected yourself into that group. Welcome to Game of Nodes. You've made the grade. Well done.
You've joined the elite.
Join the elite. You're already here. You're part of the elite. Every populist on the planet, whenever they say we need to get rid of the elite, they're talking about you now, the listeners of Game of Nodes. So yeah, Barcelona apparently is the pickpocket capital of Europe or something. So
should have found that factoid before you had your cell phone picked.
Yeah. I mean, some last minute planning was involved in that trip, and it really does show. Also, taking it all the way back to the diss that I received at the top of the show, took a folded iron shirt, put it at the bottom of a hiking rucksack, which I then went on the train across Europe to Barcelona. Got the shirt out at the other end. Of course, it was fucked. And then couldn't find an iron. Usurper found an iron because he's an adult, and there was no ironing board, however, so we had to clear the beer bottles out of the way so that I could iron a shirt, so that we could go to a VIP event that was marked specifically business casual. And we showed up at the registration, and there was some fucking guy in a onesie.
In like a, that's right.
All of us, all of
teddy
us,
bears or some shit. We're like, God damn it.
we all bought an entire change of clothes so that we weren't just wearing fucking t-shirt and slacks just for that one fucking thing.
There was other adults there.
There were other adults there, but then this guy fucking prances past in a dinosaur onesie or whatever with his tail flapping out, and you're like,
or that dude in the yellow suit with the gold crown and shit. Yeah, there's always one.
Oh god, yeah, with the crown and the
somebody's got to wear a fucking crown.
You're just like
some King Nodes asshole.
Yeah, I think he had a t-shirt saying "Big Balls Blockchain" or something. So I took a shirt. Number one, didn't need it. Ironed a shirt. Number two, didn't need it. Took some fucking chinos. Number three, didn't need those. Number four, got pickpocketed largely because chinos have really, really flappy, stupid pockets that invite pickpockets to see whether there's something in your pocket. Disaster, that VIP event.
Fucking... Look good though.
How was there a pickpocket at a VIP event?
It was on the,
it was on the metro.
Metro on the way home.
It was on the metro on the way back from the VIP event.
So it's not like bear market got you down bad.
No, we had a
collect some iPhones.
Hey, look,
we're on the train.
The dude in the onesie brushed past me, and I was so pissed off that I got shoulder barged by a guy in a onesie. I didn't notice it taking all my shit. So
could it have been targeted? I mean, isn't that what happened to Matt Bell, and that's how his information got out? Like someone stole his phone or like a SIM swap or something, right?
Yeah, they SIM swapped it. So they SIM swapped his account.
Okay, it was just a SIM swap. It wasn't his stolen phone.
Yeah.
Social attack, baby.
I don't think it was targeted, but I guess you never really do know. But I mean, I am just some fucking bozo, so that's probably. I mean, let's be real, right? In each other's hearts, in the Game of Nodes community, we're all Big Balls Blockchain, right? We are all Mr. Blockchain, El Grande Balls, whatever. The point is, but when you actually do go to these big-ish whatever events, you do go, oh yeah, actually, if somebody's getting targeted attacked, it's going to be an actual Big Balls Blockchain guy. It ain't gonna be me. It's gonna be one of the founders of the foundation that is got their net worth published in Forbes or whatever. So
that is one of my favorite parts of going to conferences. Whenever you like go up to meet someone and you introduce yourself, and then they say like, "Oh, hi," and then they just assume you already know who they are because they're so godlike, and they'll just give you a look as if you should be like preening to see them. That's one of my favorite moments at every conference I've been to, is whenever that moment pops up. I'm like, I was waiting for this one where I was supposed to be in his holy presence. Yeah, exactly. His holy presence.
Alternatively, they just immediately turn around and mutter something about going to wait for their limo in the hallway.
Or that, yeah.
I'd love to talk to Schultze, but
yeah, we got to go wait for the limit. So I was at Glastonbury Festival once. I did that to a famous British radio presenter, which in fairness, the radio presenter, you don't see their face. Number two, I listen to whatever music I feel like listening to. I don't really listen to the radio, never have. But it was one of those where like I was at this stage and like there was a guy who had like a BBC t-shirt on, and I was like, "Oh, you guys here are part of the recording crew?" And he was like, "Yeah, you could say that." And I was like, "Oh, because you broadcast." I thought he was basically a technician. He looked like a bit of a nerd, so I was like, "Oh, I assumed he was one of the techs." And they're like, "Yeah, oh, we're recording every stage." I was like, "Oh, right, yeah. So you do work for the BBC?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How's it going for you?" And he's going, "Oh, it's going pretty well." I mean, he's like a big radio guy. He's like, "Yeah, it's going pretty well for me, I guess." So I'm like, nice. It's tough to get into, isn't it? But I go friends who work there. They seem to like it. And then I was just like, "Well, have a great festival, man. I'll catch you later." And like, I walked off, and then like a while later, it was like I just saw on the thing. It was like, "Oh, that's that guy, the famous." That's the guy. I was like, "Yeah, well, good luck with your new job at BBC," because I thought you look like a 23-year-old nerd who's just started as an intern. And it turns out he was like some 35-year-old. He just looks young. He's some 35-year-old big balls. I was like,
do they still have big radio guys? Like, does anyone even listen to fucking radio?
Yeah, there's still like shock jock
Yeah.
type stuff going on. Sure.
There's a lot of people
Everyone
listen
over
in the
70?
car as well. Like you think about all the people who commute in their car, they all listen to the radio.
Yeah.
I do not. listen
But
to
now we have to have the
radio.
AM versus FM conversation because AM radio is way more popular and have way bigger personalities now.
Is it really?
Dude,
Oh,
radio
yeah.
still fucking
Why would
receive
you
AM
use
over there.
the AM and FM? I don't even think are used over here anymore.
Really interesting.
Other than
Yeah,
for,
AM
like,
radio is like where you'll find like
Welcome to Canada.
Rush Limbaugh. I want to say is on
oh, right,
AM.
yeah,
Well, he's
the-
dead.
Well, okay, formerly Rush Limbaugh,
Yeah.
but like those personalities you'll find over there.
I
Yeah.
think in the UK we only I want to say that the sports, the like just the rolling sports channel the BBC do, 5 Live, is AM radio. I think because then you can like listen to it in the park or something, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's still AM, and almost everything else is FM if it's anything, like it has been for decades. And the most of that became DAB digital only, like a few years ago from memory. The only other one that's we have long wave, so I want to say 198 long wave is the BBC World Service, but that's everywhere. So
Hmm.
and that's more of a propaganda exercise. Although the news is very good, to be fair, because they actually,
We still have
research
regular.
fact-
We still have
fact
AM and FM. But
Well,
FM all like automatically puts the digital. But it's still there,
Yeah.
right? So you can bounce between those.
Yeah, I thought AM was just used because it doesn't send as great of signal, and so like talking translates over better than like music, right?
Something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
A narrow
it's-
bandwidth too.
and it's easier to broadcast it further, or
Right.
be it potentially more patchily. So yeah, like FM is obviously can be a little bit patchy if you're like out in the middle of nowhere in the hills, whereas like everybody's got to listen to the rugby or the cricket or whatever, and usually in somewhere a bit random, like I say, in a park or a field or something. So on the one sunny day of the year. So I always figure that's why 5 Live was AM, but somebody can correct me on that.
And a lot of large stuff here is moved to satellite here. So it's all like Sirius XM now, which I'm not sure, which I think is global now. Is that global? Or is that
Yeah,
only
I think so.
It is, right?
It's like a subscription thing, right?
Yeah. But like
It's
Howard
like
moved to that.
everyone
but
driving
Tim-
around with a satellite dish on their car.
No, it's like well, number one, it's like a small little radio, and it's not like a big dish or anything like that. And then also, they obviously they broadcast it over IP, so you can get it from anything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I just have to say something here. Badger Bites is bitching about a T-shirt from King Nerds that he's received and saying that the Artifact staking T-shirts are much better. And I just have to say that
No shit.
yes, the Artifact T-shirts are much better, but B,
But in my defense,
these fucking King Nerd shirts were not for distribution, so shut the fuck up. They were fucked, and that's why we didn't give them out at any conference because the printer fucked them up and they're shit shirts. So, leave me
So,
alone.
as another funny thing that happened at SmartCon, based purely on having done FinTech conference Aptos thing, Cosmoverse in the past, Gateway, I was like, t-shirts, give them away like easy peasy, forget about it. Took a bunch of our t-shirts, which are fucking really good. Carried them again across Europe in my rucksack, got to the other end. Wasn't it kind of like it was super weird. Like
Different crowd.
if you weren't like a headline sponsor, they got
Yeah.
they literally saw you doing anything, they would just grab it and throw it in the bin. They had like security guys.
Well, we
getting rid
got
of
we got there Saturday morning, and Saturday afternoon there was like a hackathon thing there. So we went to this hotel. There's a big hackathon thing. There's a ton of chain link stuff like stickers and stuff laying around. So I had some Rhino stickers. I had Game and Node stickers. I had a feeling that it wasn't really the vibe to put those things down. Alex is like, fuck it. Takes a bunch of these stickers out, puts them on all these different tables. Like literally went from
Put
table
some
to table to
stickers,
table.
some random merch around.
Put them all
and
down.
stuff.
We walk around, we grab a drink, come back. Some dudes just sitting there swiping them up.
Yeah,
Going
just-
from table to table.
swiping them straight into the bin,
So-
like carrying them over, bam,
so-
like the security guard guys. And
So then
then
Alex goes, "Well, let me go-"
Artifact did the same thing as well, and
Yeah,
they
he
were
picked
like
them all
getting
up.
rid of their stuff. And Artifact were sponsoring, so
Yeah, and then Alex goes to the guy. He's like, I have a T-shirt too if you want it. And the guy's like, no. He's
and I
like,
was
oh
like,
wait,
they're not.
oh, you're not a
The
fan.
guy, because I saw the guy. There was the one guy that I actually
You're not
spoke to.
taking
I was
those
sort of just
home,
picking
are
up
you?
like a couple of stickers, and I was like, 2 stickers, maybe he just likes it. But then I was like, no, he's
No,
gonna go throw it in the bin.
No.
He's just he doesn't look like a security guy, but that's
Yeah.
also a security guy.
I had
And
mine in
so
my hand. I was just sticking them back in my pocket. I was like, okay, these will hold it till
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, usurper's just like okay, I guess I brought
Maybe
these stickers with me
tomorrow.
for nothing. I'm like
Yeah.
I guess I carried t-shirts across Europe for nothing. So came I think took 15 t-shirts with me, came back with like 11. It was just like to carry them all the way back across France.
I did the same with those hats. I brought a bunch of hats. I didn't give away one.
Did
Stupid.
you give away any in the end?
No. I had a bunch. I was looking for specific people, and then by the time I really got them picked, like in a spot, I hate giving people shit to hold in like really bad situations. Like if we're like you're on a show floor or something, there's an expectation of it. But if you're like if it's like an after party or you're somewhere where you're out, like I don't want to saddle somebody with some fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's 9 p.m. and I got to carry this goddamn thing around. So I
You know what's funny is I got stuck in London on the way through and had to stay a night because there are big train strikes in the UK, and I stuck around in London for a day and did some work stuff, and then on that day I then had a thing where I needed to give somebody like a business card and some stickers or something like that, more than one person actually, and they were, first of all my business cards apparently evaporated at some point during that trip. Don't know where they went. And I was just like, yeah, I think I've got a business card, none on me. I was like, they're in the top of my rucksack. They must have fallen out the Airbnb at the conference center. I don't know.
really?
They're gone. And I was just like, and because I hadn't re-enabled Telegram or anything, I couldn't do the QR code. I was like, I was like, give you a sticker. And then I remembered the stickers were right at the bottom of a hiking rucksack. And these guys are just stood there, just like, could you? And in the end, I literally wrote down our company name and our company phone number on a piece of my notebook, ripped it off like I was giving some girl my number and being like, call me. You know, when
Cool.
you're smooth and 16, and it
Cool.
definitely fucking never works for you, does it? It just
You're
ends
like,
up.
give me your palm. It's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she's like, no, actually,
You're right. My website.
oh, my hand's really sweaty. Like you won't be able to get a number on it. Don't worry about it. And you're like, damn.
Damn.
It always works in the movies, but it turns out you have to be attractive to do it. No, anyway, so yeah, it was and surprise, yeah, as luck would have it, surprise, that potential client has not called.
So hold on.
Fantastic.
There's a railway strike happening in the UK, and then you were like, you will absolutely not fly from Manchester. You must take the train. What if there was a strike on that route, or it's like specific routes that are having strikes?
Yeah, well, the whole of the UK. So even I think the tubes in London weren't running. So it was really expensive. I came into like St Pancras, and it was really, really expensive. All the hotels within like 2 miles walking distance of that, and then you could get a 5-star hotel across London for like the price of a fucking travel lodge, because everybody who was arriving in the city was like, oh. It was super weird. But yeah. Anyway, but obviously, yeah, you're not gonna. There's literally no fucking point flying, especially not if you're getting back at like 10 o'clock at night. You know, that's perfectly reasonable to just grab a train and then arrive home. I guess I would have arrived at the nearest station at about. The problem is after 10 they run a bit slower, so what should take a couple of hours takes 3 hours. So I would have arrived near a station about 1, and then gone and probably grabbed my bike from the lockup. Yeah, I'd have been home about 2 in the morning. It would have been a late night, but I could have got home that day, and in the end I didn't. So whatever, man. Anyway, and spectacularly failed to give a potential client any kind of identifying business details. So yeah, all in all, great trip, smashing trip, killed it, networking. People who are wondering why we can't get our shit together and make a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Our marketing is the same level for the podcast and for the businesses. That's the honest truth. There we go. If it was just building a website, would be golden. We're nerds, but racking up some servers or something. Anyway, yeah. So SmartCon.
It was a good week.
Other than that, other than getting pickpocketed and not really being very good at networking, apparently post-COVID, which I swear I used to be good at, but I've lost the knack of. It was interesting. It's also really interesting to hang out in a space where you're like, Usurper, you guys are very involved in that space. But for us, it was more of like, just kind of interesting to see another ecosystem, how they're operating, and what what kind of stuff they're exploring. I mean, I guess
Right.
they're very, very serious about the TradFi and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, CCIP is like their future, right? The bridge structure.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They're really working the bank angle, and they're working with Swift, and they're working with the what's the Australian New Zealand banking consortium? No, I forget what the heck thing's called.
ANZ.
Yeah. So they have a
ANZ was there. I know that guy.
I would assume that they're there. They signed some big ass deal with them, and they're now on that CCIP stuff. So
Yeah,
Oh,
there
there's
was
a
an
lot
ANZ
of
guy at the VIP thing. I think he was one
from
of the.
ANZ. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so,
ANZ are doing like a stable coin thing in Australia.
Oh, are they?
Let's see.
So-
Yeah. Well, not a CBDC. I think they're doing their own thing. But I mean, fuck knows if our government's even doing a CBDC. They're a little bit archaic over here in that respect. But the banks like lead the way over here for everything. They've like we a couple of years ago they came up with this OSCO system where you get instant transfers between banks now. It used to take like fucking days before. And yeah, man, they sort of like lead everything. So it wouldn't surprise me if like Australia's bank coin thing is from ANZ. I was talking to the dude at there's a Blockchain Australia conference like a little while ago.
Yeah.
And had a yarn to him there. And yeah, man, they're pretty into it. So I guess they're probably going to come up with something soon enough.
Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of talk about it, like just the tokenization of those assets and trying to find ways to yada yada yada, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's fucking weird how everyone knows everyone in this industry as well. Because
Yeah.
like that guy was talking to another girl who so I went over to talk to this girl because she was a speaker and she spoke about some stuff I wanted to like pick her brain on. And then so I got talking to her and she knew Jake Hartnell.
Really?
And I was like, oh, okay. And knew all about DAO DAO. And we're actually talking to the ANZ guy about DAO DAO. So
That's cool.
chill it.
Yeah, I think what I found out from that conference. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on in that space, and this traditional finance kind of trying to find ways to use this tokenization in some sort of structure and yada. And they're all trying to figure out like where the money is, right? Number one, and they really want traditional finance kind of security controls and methods of transfer. Like they're not going to use consumer based systems. Like they're just not going to do it. Like they're not using wormhole and shit. So they want those types of structures, and so that was a big topic of conversation. And then I think what's interesting is like the individuals that show up, which Frey might have met a few of them as well, is like you have a lot of bank individuals who are ex Web3 individuals who now have roles in that space in traditional finance, right? And not to be vulgar, but the stones on these people, it's like they are walking up like 8 feet above everyone else in the room. Just like when you talk to them, like the egos and like all it is like traditional finance people talking down to technologists. And like it is so incredibly obvious that even if you start opening a conversation, like I had a couple conversations with individuals, and like they would do a small intro, and it was very short, which is fine. I give a very short intro and ask what they're doing, and then they would instantly like talk to me, but they would be looking across the room over there and just like talking over there, and like it was like that type of thing. Like there's a lot of that, and even on stage and some of those type of situations. But like it's an incredible amount of it's a weird thing. You can tell like they're entering in a new area, and they are probably one of a small group of people within a very large traditional finance organization who understands this stuff. And so therefore that just keeps pumping it up like crazy. And they know they're gatekeepers in some sort of sense, even though I don't think they know what they're gatekeepers for. And so it's anyway, it's fun to be able to have those type of conversations.
The
with those
money, man.
individuals.
The money. The gatekeepers for the money.
Well, they are, and I also give them a bit of shit too, because you can ask like what they did in their past, and you're like, oh, that failed, didn't it? Oh, that didn't make it, did it? Oh,
I heard
about
that failed
I read
spectacularly.
about that thing blowing up on Coinbase. Yeah, like that type of stuff, and then like it kind of comes down.
There were quite a few of those, weren't there? Where
Yeah,
where somebody'd
yeah.
be like, "Oh yeah, we were really involved in this project,"
like, that
and
blew up, didn't it?
and then it would be like, "Is that still going?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, it's still making blocks," and you're like, "No, but is it above $1?"
Weren't you caught in the bathroom giving SBF a hand job?
There's
Wow.
one specific conversation that somebody was so cocky about a specific project, and I know everything about that one, and I was like, that didn't make it, right? And he's like, no. But now I'm in charge of, okay, cool. And I worked at IBM. Great.
There were I
Great.
I was like, there were two conversations that I came in on the end of with like where I don't know if it's like The Simpsons when he comes in with a drink and then immediately he just in one smooth moment he turns and then goes back away he came.
When Grandpa walks in the strip club. Yeah.
There was like
when
at
Bart's
least one
working
or
the door.
two where I like came in the edge of a conversation and then got a whiff of it and we just like
Oh man.
straight off to I was like, oh, that's the artifact guys. I'll just
Ben Davis says Juno Validator is giving people shit for price action of tokens. Yes, we're dragging the world down with us.
Yeah.
Just to make it 100% clear on what's happening here.
Pure spite. It's pure spite.
Pure spite. Yeah, we're just
one of
bitter
us.
fucking haters.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We're just bitter haters. That's what we are.
I know you work at a bank now, but I'll pull you back down in this.
Look, I mean,
your last project was
the most fun thing was when people like ask what you do and you're like, oh, yeah, well, we're like a small team, we're a validator company, and they're like, what's a validator? And you're like, we're the ones fucking toiling in the block mines while you guys are on the fucking penthouse are swilling champagne, yeah? We're the real heroes of the story. Validators, obviously. Everybody knows we're the real heroes, yeah? We're just out the coalface every day making blocks. It's a real tough gig. And they're just like, but what do validators actually do? And you're like,
I don't know.
Did I just tell you about the coalface, motherfucker?
I make sure my number keeps going up.
Yeah. I was like, look, I have a very streamlined Emacs configuration. Number one, that needs a lot of gardening. That's like 40% of my week, right? The other 20% of my week is optimizing that one script that fucking freaks the shit out if number doesn't go up.
Monitoring
spent 2 years adding
number
clauses to that bash script.
And the remaining percentage is just shuffling those scripts back and forth to the bank vault.
The rest of it is just SCP.
Everything
just SCP. This from here to here to here to here to bring up a new box, then to here to here.
RC is really ambitious.
Jake says validators are the real heroes. Should be a T-shirt. I think that the T-shirt should be validators are the real MVP, but that MVP also is minimum viable product.
I don't know. I would just wear. I would just
Laughing
ironically wear a T-shirt that says "Validators are the real heroes." Too. If somebody makes that in fact, I will make that T-shirt. After this podcast, I'm gonna go make that T-shirt.
This might be the 70 or 75th time you've said you're going to make a T-shirt. So
at least.
And then you show something off that looks great, and I'm like, yeah, I'd buy it. And you're like, okay, anyway, I'm done.
Starting it right now.
I thought he was just getting out his scrapbook.
He's getting out, making some oil colors.
Let me show you my scrapbook of designs. Yeah. I write these on the train.
Where's my phone?
What are we doing, man? Let's I'm gonna close this CoinGecko page and
you want to do some GNUs?
Review the GNUs. So I did get a DM last night from our man, and it simply said quiet week.
Did we pay our man?
Well, I mean, I put up the proposal 2 weeks ago. So did we pay him? I don't know.
I executed it when I got back.
You what?
Did anyone execute it or?
Yeah, it's done. You're not a DAO unless you're, instead of using the DAO, you are communicating on Signal or Telegram with the other DAO members, begging them to sign. Okay, that is a sign.
That's true.
Let me tell you, this ain't my first DAO, and that is exactly how all functional DAOs work. Hi guys, this proposal is going to actually run out in about 12 hours, and we're going to be really bad if people don't get paid. So can we please get signed? Every DAO I've ever been in.
Ignore.
Like, yeah, man, I'm away from my ledger. I'll do it when I get back to my ledger.
I was away from my ledger.
Why the fuck do you have a ledger on a
It's a good thing my ledger was in my left pocket, not my right pocket. Let's just say that.
I didn't bring that one with me. Sitting here. Because I knew it was going to get
Why would you have it on a ledger?
That's a good question. It doesn't really need to be.
No, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't need to be. Don't judge
And then
me
if
on
it
my
wasn't on a
security
ledger, you
structures.
could look. Let's rotate those keys, boys. Let's get them on a hot wallet on your phone with no fucking Face ID. Let's
Perfect.
do it.
Are you working
Actually,
on a t-shirt
I'm wondering what loot Dr. Frey's pickpocket got. Whether he's ended up with some turd Android phone or like the
No, it
leaked
was
Apple device.
no, it was an Android phone.
Oh, it was an Android.
It was definitely an Android phone. Yep. Pricey one too.
Samsung.
Replaced with another pricey one.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Did he walk into the store in his Gucci boots
the next morning? Yep.
And walk up to the counter and just said, I'll take that one. And points to the top shelf. I want that one.
He demanded it
one.
instantly. I want that one.
I want that one.
All right, let's do some news.
Yeah, go.
I don't even have it open. I haven't looked at any of this stuff. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, item number 1. Caroline, unsurprisingly, throws Sam under the bus after being under him for years at FTX, stating in court she was only doing what she was told, and her boss because they were sleeping together, or by her boss because they were sleeping. So that sounds like what's the fat man in movies?
Trump?
Sounds like that scenario. Okay?
The fat man in movies.
Yeah, the gatekeeper for the movies for the actresses.
Feinstein, Heinz.
Yeah, Weinstein.
Thank you. That's the one.
Weinstein.
Yeah, he's like, you give me a wristy
That's
and
right.
I'll get you in the movies, baby.
Yeah, the casting couch. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so a bit of that. I mean, that's expected, I suppose. Wasn't she already like rolling over before?
I don't know, but like once that jail time is out there and they start stacking up fucking manila envelopes in front of you of evidence, and you're sitting at the table and blah blah blah, and you start really, it's all funny, like you're on whatever.
Okay, design crit, should this be in regular or bold?
It should be done later.
So what would you do? Like if I was there in the room with the guy, with the glasses.
Where's this
in the
going?
black suit.
Are we going back to the casting couch?
Number one.
I mean, I'd probably roll over as well. I'd be like, didn't like SERP anyway. So yeah.
If it was illegal, and if you're in that situation, I think in that situation, like, I mean, it's when like I said, like when they're stacking those manila envelopes in front of you, you're seeing the evidence and all this happen, and you're not waiting for trial, like you're getting close and you're actually in that situation, and you realize that at the end of this, they're going to put the cuffs on you and you're going away. That's when the reality hits, and that's when you start. All your friends are gone. It is 100% self-survival. So
100%.
It's not really surprising.
I mean,
well,
I'm too pretty for jail. I'd snitch.
It's a prisoner's dilemma, right?
24% body fat, so I'm far too pretty for jail.
This is. Can I just say that, like, I'm at the moment, I'm basically just listening, right? And it is really noticeable how much more evolved Schultzy is, because there's essentially like prison shower chat going on over yonder, and then in the background, I just hear Schultzy say like, wait. Actually, the prisoners still, and then just gets cut off, and then it's just more shower chat. I'm like, that's what the podcast sounds like.
Lucky we don't have to listen to it.
Right.
Wow.
What is the prisoner's dilemma? I don't think I know what that is.
Prisoner's dilemma is like, if everyone together works together, then everyone would be like, everything would be better off, right? Instead, she's like, well, she can assume that someone else is going to snitch, so she might as well snitch first in order to get ahead of it.
Yeah, that's like in The Wire. Like somebody walks back with a bag of McDonald's, and they're like, "What the fuck, you snitching?" Like, yeah,
exactly.
Like, what the hell?
So the fun thing about the prisoner's dilemma is one of the foundational questions. It's obviously like an old philosophical thing, but it's one of the foundational ones in game theory. And when you play it, you should always betray the person, right? I'm pretty certain that's right? The dominant strategy is to always betray, because you have to assume they betrayed you. And if you betray, like, the outcome for you not betraying them is that you get totally fucked. That's the worst case scenario, which is also the worst case scenario if you both betray each other. So you always want to betray them on the off chance that you then walk, right? It's the dominant strategy. However, if you play the prisoner's dilemma more than once, the dominant strategy is to copy whatever the person did the last time. And the dominant strategy is actually to always, I think it's actually to always do the honest thing and try and collaborate. But the second most dominant one is to just copy what the other person did. So that is foundational to how BitTorrent worked.
Really?
Yeah. So the problem is, right, that file sharing worked really, really badly when it was peer-to-peer because no peers would actually gossip the fucking file. Whereas
Yeah, we had no seeders.
whereas if you play Repeated Prisoner's Dilemma, one of the dominant modes of actually achieving an outcome is to somebody's gonna have to go and like fucking Wikipedia this for me because it's been a while since I watched the lectures on this one, on the courseware for it. But yeah, the design of the protocol is such that it's basically inspired by the Repeated Prisoner's Dilemma to seed the file first to ensure like essentially a dominant outcome for the file being maximally available to all requesting peers, which then also they offer to seed it before they start taking additional blocks, additional chunks of the file. So there you go. Fun fact about the Prisoner's Dilemma, which needs a little bit of filling in, but I think viewers of this podcast, listeners of this podcast, and viewers of the stream will know that you get introduced to a topic and then you have to do your own research, just like with the not financial advice we give.
It feels like it's been quite a while since we've talked about taxes, actually.
Jesus.
I feel like we need
I'm not going to do it today, baby.
Speaking of going to jail,
I just put a very rough cut of a t-shirt of literally just Helvetica on a background that I would absolutely wear with Validator t-shirt. So chat.
Was that the one that you posted into the Discord?
Yeah.
I think it's too wide, man. You need to like stack those words or something.
Too white.
Wide.
Too wide.
Too wide.
Wide.
Where would you line break it?
Every single word.
Second half in the back.
Oh no, you should do it like it's a definition, like validators, and then have like the broken out
Actually,
statement, and then are the real
Schultzy's right. Actually, if you make the word validate like a little bit bigger on the line above, it looks better.
No, validated colon and then the
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta look at a dictionary, man. Do it like that. Or what is it? This dictionary? No, what's the encyclopedia?
No, be a dictionary.
Britannica. Yeah. What else we got in the news here, boys? We can't just sit here and watch the Frey toil on his laptop.
Go ahead. We got next one.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, this is quite obviously a pretty slow news week. So Neutron listed on Binance.
The noun, right? Jesus, I'm tired. Help me, Schultzy. Save me. Help me, everyone.
I'm pretty sure it's a noun. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a noun.
It's got to be a noun, right?
Yeah.
Validator. Okay, right. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be shit. I can already tell.
Yeah.
He's fucking with it too much.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad we're working hard on this to never release it. Yeah.
So Neutron lists on Binance causes a 40% pump across Atom and Osmo. I didn't notice. As people attempt to figure out how to trade it, Soy, presumably Soy2 Studio, shows OSL, presumably I have no idea what that is.
Osmosis Support League, maybe? I think it's Osmosis Support League.
Okay, Osmosis Support League. How to single-handedly do all 20 of their jobs as one person. And Osmosis fails to process swaps and IBC transactions for 40 minutes due to bots spamming the network.
Labs. Rama says.
Labs. That makes more sense. Yeah.
I was
Osmosis
yeah,
Support Labs.
League sounded.
I was
like a little bit-
close.
League sounds more.
Sound very gamer. Like
It does. It does.
we're just out here gaming, man. Any thoughts on that? I mean, did anyone notice that pump?
No.
Fucking number go down only as far as I've seen for the last
Yeah.
year and a half.
Yeah.
Missed
No.
that pump.
Rama has
Like maybe
Go
it coincided with a temporary ETH pump or something, which sort of brings the whole market. So maybe I missed it. Certainly in the last 24 hours, there has been no pumping. It is down only, baby. And anyone know why that is? Has there been like any market news? I've been basically living in a box.
It is October. October typically has like the worst month. If things are going to go wrong, it happens in October. I'm not really sure why that is. But I want to say the 2000, like the .com bubble happened in October. The Great Recession started in October. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, but that's what happens.
Yeah, I think, well, right. Fucking when number go up would be what my question is, because man, we need that. All right, moving on. NFTs. Someone launched the perfect collection for Cosmos, embodying the Cosmos developer focused spirit and vision. They launched the Cosmos Canonical Collection with the NFT sticker or ticker $ Cosmos. Lol. It's a free mint for 24 hours. If you use Stargate in the last month, 4,000 wallets. Yes. Anyone use?
Can you think of an
Stargaze in the last
adjective with
4
an?
months?
Can you think of an adjective with an S that finishes the word?
What?
I can think of a really fucking inappropriate time to start doing design.
What is this? Like Mad Libs?
So I'm trying to work out. Schulze said, "Do it like a dictionary definition." I'm trying to
I think
work
small
out
animal.
the pronunciation. I don't know the name of the thing. You know, when it says the pronunciation, but it has it in that, in angle brackets, and like
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out what that would be for validators. But I'm just looking for
Ah.
examples of words that end with an S to double check how that's normally done with a preceding vowel.
What?
And if you're going, yes, this is how deeply he gets into a thing very quickly, you'd be right. We are in a rabbit hole here. I'm gonna put
My
that
my buddy, are you ADHD?
I mean, his line of questioning suits his turtleneck. So,
Or just tonight.
Or just tonight.
no,
What about the word
but
yes? Could you look up the word yes? Because the S is a soft S there, right? So that should work.
yes.
Dang it. He's put his thing down and I'm like, all right, hold on. I'll let you go a
Smashed
little
it,
further down that
Schulze,
hole.
clearly.
Do you want validate?
mean,
Why would it be validators? You want validator, right?
Well, because it's validators, the real heroes, right? That kind of thing.
Oh. Here.
Wasn't it validators are the real heroes?
Yeah, validators are the real heroes. It wouldn't be validator is the real hero.
Here.
So you just grammatically fuck
Damn
the
it,
whole
why am I
thing up.
doing this? Why am I doing this?
You know, we haven't had the drill tweet of the week in 3 weeks.
You're just trying to. You're
He's
trying
too
to
busy.
derail this train. I like it.
So the last item of news from Rama is that it was a quiet week. And I don't know. He says, I heard Null has a special announcement for us, though. I have no idea what that is.
That shirt.
Yeah, I mean,
I did look at
again
this.
on the shirts. Those shirts were not meant for public distribution. I mean, they were initially until I saw them and decided that they were an absolute piece of shit.
I have
And
one.
then, huh?
I have one. I socked it away. I'm gonna
Why
pull it
can't
out
you-
20 years from now.
Did you like take that and use it for oil rags or something?
No, you gave it to me. I cherish it.
No.
I did look at this Clowns 9000 thing. I get it, and I understand why it says Cosmos Canonical Collection. I thought for some reason when Rama wrote that, I thought it was somehow relating to like either projects or founders or individuals in the Cosmos. Like I thought it was like then painting them as clowns, but that's not what this is. That's what I thought it was much harsher than what this is. I think at least it doesn't look that to me to be that way. But and
Did you
now
inspect them?
I did inspect that. Well, actually, it just opened up a little bit ago because it wasn't that private mint, and I have used. I don't know why I couldn't actually mint that because I have used Stargaze in the last 2 months because I've been buying these fucking. I've been buying these. What do you call them? The little scary things. What the hell are those things called?
Little scary things.
Yeah, I love the nightmares. I love this collection. I think it's fucking cool as hell. I've been buying them like I have like 3 so far. I've been picking them up as I come along. I think it's just a really unique and cool collection that is like my eyes way better than bad kids, but whatever. They're
Ooh, I
just
really enjoy
interesting.
these.
And if you
Yeah.
actually if you zoom out and you get a bunch on one page and you really make them large, they're really vibrant and they're very different. Like they're really cool. Like I really dig them.
I
And
enjoy
so
these.
I've been buying a few of these just because they're fucking cool. So, but this is only recent. It's only the last few days, so they must have taken some sort of snapshot before this. Anyway,
how
so
did you
I
find
did
it?
was not I was not in the cosmo or in the clown thing, in which I was like, oh, what the fuck? Because I did see that was in the last whatever it was it was like 4,000 people used Stargaze in the last 30 days, which I actually thought was really low. Because I don't what we don't have the Stargaze team might have it. I don't have access to it, but I do see how many like unique IPs and we do a little fingerprinting on actually I don't even do fingerprinting API. Like Cloudflare is a little fingerprinting on with the cookie on the API to be able to category uniques, but I can only see like number of uniques over like 7, 14, 30 days. And the unique number for those users is more than 4,000. But it could be like the number of unique wallets that have maybe interacted must be purchases, I would assume, maybe. Or maybe sales or something. I don't know what that means. So I can see maybe there's a lot more people browsing than actually buying, which makes a lot of sense. But I thought 4,000 individuals interacting in Stargaze over the last 30 days was really low. I thought it was I thought that would be a way higher number, like 4 or 5x times that. But anyway, so anyway, I'm back on Stargaze by Nightmares.
There are some.
They're fun, right?
There are some random shits in Stargaze lately.
Yeah.
What's it? Muscle mummies.
I don't even know what the hell that sounds awful though.
It's just a picture of like
oh yeah,
ripped chicks.
It's like
someone just Googled ripped chicks and made a collection.
Exactly. 400.
Oh man, this
there's some random shit in there.
So
sure.
I've posted the t-shirt in the group chat. On the Stargaze front, I noticed as well that there is a prop up for permissionless upload.
Yes,
on Stargaze.
there is.
But it's not permissionless, is it? It's controlled by a multisig.
I think it's permissionless, isn't it?
Is it permissionless? Did I read that shit wrong?
I think they're proposing permissionless WASM.
Who's proposing permissionless WASM?
I think it's Gelato.
Fucking Gelato, is it?
If I remember correctly,
Gelato. Oh, fellas, the fucking.
It's full permissionless. Let me just double check on the Gelato thing. I'm pretty sure that is the case. I think it was actually just rejected.
That feels wrong. Oh, okay, it was rejected. Okay.
It got rejected.
Honestly, this feels wrong. Why would it? Okay.
Yeah, well, I think their goal. Let me go back. It is Gelato who did propose it. I from my perspective, I thought the arguments were a little bit weak. And I know that I heard that Shane said something in this thread. I'll put the thread in the show notes about the idea that Skip was working on some sort of fast lane or some sort of structure to make a some sort of way to allow the permissionless execution of certain types of contracts, maybe, or something similar to that. I didn't really understand it that much, but like there was a middle ground here of some sort of say. And anyway, I didn't really think that the benefits here were that strong. I understand the idea of that it's expensive to put a proposal in, but okay, yeah, but we're talking about contracts here, so I think to be able to pay to put something on chain like a contract does make sense to me. And I kind of like it being permissioned, honestly. I kind of keep some of the shit out, and full permissionless. I think then you open up the world to anything. right?
I actually like Stargaze remaining. I feel like it's one of the few bastions, quote unquote, of the app chain still remaining, right?
Yeah.
Like you go to Stargaze for Stargaze. I'm not opposed to like Gelato being on there or whatever, but I think it's a case study for it, and making it fully permissionless, I think, kind of removes that.
Yeah. And so I think, anyway, so I voted no on it. And again, I hate fucking Cosmos governance. I always tell folks to vote their own shares, please. But anyway, that was my kind of opinion on it. It seems like it went that way. So, and there might be some other options for other types of components that could happen. And so, and the Skip thing was called Skip's Block SDK. I don't know. Skip about building a permissionless lane for Stargaze that reverts COSM-WASM transactions that can cause non-determinism. That's what it's called. So, Frey, you might know what the hell that means. But anyway, so yeah, but this
Yeah,
guy,
so there
the guy-
were a few other things, and I think there's an interesting discussion on the thread, right? So Triggs has we'll put the thread in the show notes. There's a good kind of rebuttal or set of questions that are raised there, and the Jay also Jorge responds as well and says that and points out that there's a few interesting things about the way that Stargaze does things, and random minting of NFTs and whatnot is obviously a bit of I don't say a hot button issue, but it's an issue, right? And there are a bunch of different approaches you can take when you control what can be uploaded, right? Because if you know that only code your team uploads needs to rely on another piece of code, you can make assumptions about the level of randomness you need, for example, or whether or not some other project could use that in such a way that it would either cause an exploit in your own code or more likely be used to deceive a user as more of a social attack vector, or any other of those things. Like, I think a lot of it would probably, a lot of the gaming would come in, I guess, in like NFT mints or whatever. But so Jorge raises a couple of, I'm not going to summarize everything, but Jorge raises a couple of points where sort of says that there are there's some randomness here which wouldn't work or could be gamed if other people were to upload stuff. And there's some concerns around flash loans as well, because if you upload flash loans, you can do all sorts of funny stuff. So yeah, I encourage people to read the thread. There's some stuff in there that is well discussed by the team. And yeah, there's, but the bigger problem, I think, is I think what maybe we've discussed about the strength of Stargaze in the past, which is that its strength as a project is it's got quite a tight focus. It's got, so people talk about, like the thing Terra got right, which is incubating specific projects with specific value that fitted into a vision. And that's the one thing that Stargaze are good at incubating, delivering, right? And it makes the whole platform seem shittier if shitty projects launch there and gain attention. Like if there were permissionless CosmWasm, right, and Fortis came back and launched on Stargaze and rugged a bunch of people, it would make the Stargaze chain look shit. When the focus of the Stargaze chain is the core, is still at the moment the core projects that are mainly incubated by the foundation, essentially. So I think for me, the product vision is like the biggest argument. Besides that, there are technical things, and besides that, the team themselves would actually have to implement this, because it's not just. This is a text proposal, because it can't just be done automatically. It requires a proper software update with a bunch of configuration changes and potentially some, like I said, changes to contracts and some auditing. It's not just a YOLO type thing. There's a cost, financial and time involved. But yeah, it kind of seems to me, if you're going to go permissionless on a chain that's already got that tight a product roadmap, you'd want to do it after you had a much greater mass adoption, to say, okay, we have this really tight, really good core of the project and of the product that users understand, and that they're into, and we want to kind of allow people to interact more freely with that community and to offer them additional services. And we think that the core brand of our app chain is now well enough established that if somebody does get a popular but dog shit project on here that makes that ends up being shit, it won't sour people on the entire project or the wider context of the project. I guess that would be my 2 cents on that.
Listen, they all can't be rip chicks, you know. So you're gonna have some dogs in there.
Yeah.
Right, Noel?
Yeah.
Did you checked Rip Chicks? I was minted 5.
Is that you sucking all those up? Am I competing against you?
I want them all.
30
Actually,
stars
those
each.
monsters look pretty crazy. I totally agree. Like devaluing the brand.
Yeah. I think so too.
That's a good point. Like we voted no. Like, you know, it's an NFT platform. It should just stick to being an NFT platform. Not there's enough other general purpose WASM stuff out there. I don't really want like junk filling the blocks with crap, and then people wanting to get faster blocks because of their specific like
bullshit
application.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I think like the team, and also like this stuff, like you go permissionless, you can break it with like 0-day exploits and stuff like that. So
it's a lot easier to get owned.
100%. Like,
it's
you know,
very,
it's free
very
for any old. There's people who just, you know, are bored as shit and upload, you know, they'll just upload malicious contracts or stuff that uses a lot of, you know, compute and just spam it when the price is low and just stuff to, you know, get themselves off because they got nothing else to do. So,
yeah,
you know, it's just safer to have permissioned WASM. And, you know, if there's a worthwhile project, I think it's got merit to pick and choose them. Like,
agreed.
Ask the community, do you want this crap on our chain? Yes. Okay. I mean, it's a completely different scenario to the open slather chains with permissionless WASM because that's what they're there for. They're, you know, there to do testing and there to get hammered. And a lot of the times they're sort of, you know, like Juno is a tip of the spear type network. They're constantly implementing new things, but they also, you know, put effort into security and making sure that they're 100% on top of like WASM patches, and they've got a, you know, in the past they've strongly supported the WASM team.
But also still got fucking rugged twice. Like that's the thing. Like if you every permissionless CosmWasm chain that has any mind share and any value has been halted, I think, at this point. So that's the thing. Somebody would come and grief Stargaze exactly like you say. They'd be like, great, there's another thing that I can go and give a kicking if there's a WASM patch or something they haven't implemented. It just introduces a huge security hole. Like I can't even emphasize how big the security hole you open is with permissionless CosmWasm. It's the difference between, like, you're essentially saying we will allow arbitrary code execution on our platform. That's what you're saying when you say permissionless CosmWasm, and you're trusting that you can A, stay on top of updates, and B, that the VM itself will maintain its integrity, which is, you know, is obviously untrue because that's not how software works. There will always be bugs. And it's also provably mathematically impossible to tell. That's like at the core of all computer science, that theorem. Although you can do a bunch of form checking, blah, 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 but at a very deep level, you cannot know, and nobody knows. And if somebody says they know, they're lying. Unless it's Haskell.
Old men shake fist at cloud. I don't like that permissionless. Did you guys see that you can now buy NFTs on Stargaze with Atom, Stars, USDC, or Osmo directly? That is pretty damn cool.
Like from those other chains with ICS or
no, like on
in ICA.
I think it's using the skip structure, but I think but you can buy it. I don't know how it works. I think it skips the whole thing around. You can basically price them within USDC, see what those are, and buy them on USDC. That's within your Stargaze wallet. It's pretty cool.
I mean, we kind of, yeah. I
It's
mean,
bitchin'.
with the avalanche of users that have entered via snaps, lucky we have all these innovations.
It's early.
Aye.
Early. Early.
Just wait for us.
Where's my early flag? You gotta-
Yeah. So I can't put the get together the joke. I'm too tired. But the punchline is too fucking early.
It's too early.
It's too fucking early. While they're
I'll
standing over
revive it in
Elvis-
6 months.
Yeah, while they're standing over Elvis's grave. So yeah, we've like are we out of news? I think we're out of news, isn't it? We're out of news. That's the end of the news.
100% out. We're flailing. We're
That's
flailing.
Most new.
news. So we've been scrabbling around at our end here to fucking find servers this week, which has been fun.
Yes. We all
Um,
have, mostly.
I'm not sure we can publicly talk about why, but a project that we're involved in has some internal testing which needs very high performance boxes. It turns out almost no vendors really have them, which has resulted in sort of sloping up to all these second tier vendors that were trying to, get ingratiate you in their good books with like, oh no, we have things that the bigger people don't, and just like kind of not banging down their door like the Kool-Aid guy, being like, yo, I need servers, I need this spec, I need them in a week or sooner. What do you got? And then just seeing, yeah, it's been fun. Bare metal. I fucking hell, bare metal. This is all the fun of bare metal, isn't it? I'd forgotten all this in my AWS.
Right,
spoiled
I
by-
got you back. I just sent a message in the groupie.
You send a message to your groupie.
In the groupie,
You-
I got you.
Oh, the design crit is continuing, is it?
No, for your provider. So I
which
actually
provider?
for your high spec machinery.
Are we talking about OVH or are we talking about some other?
No,
provider?
no, another provider.
Another
I
provider.
don't think they might. So yeah,
Bring your checkbook, son.
I mean, it's basically we're all doing that.
Well,
Unfortunately, this little net that we're going to be running here is really, I think what we've been defining is either the very largest spec that exists at GCP and AWS, which I don't even know what's backing some of those. I assume those are, I don't know if those are Ryzen or Epic or just ridiculously large Intel boxes that don't exist somewhere else.
yeah. So basically, every time a new chip comes out, AWS will just rack up some, won't they? And then virtualize.
I assume that's what that is, right? So
Yeah, that's what all those little I's and P's and whatnots mean at the end of the things. So it's when they have a new generation, they just stick some additional letters on the end of the name
Yeah.
to make it even more confusing. So you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'll have a C8 CX16 IP freely 27 with 64,000 IOPS and yeah, and I'll go directly to the poorhouse as soon as I've provisioned it because our bank will immediately freeze our account. That's what we do.
So
The
annoying-
XL, please. The XL, not the L.
Yeah, make it a 16 XL, please.
Yeah.
XL.
Papa's checkbook needs to burn.
I'm sure I've seen some 128 core servers around recently. I don't remember where the Epic
which-
boys.
So annoyingly, what these is that it's a good mix of, it needs to have a lot of parallelism, which is everybody's been saying 48 to 64. I mean, they say cores, but they're talking
Threads.
AWS cores, which really means threads, and usually a pretty high clock speed, like over 3 gigahertz. So to get both of those in one box right now, the only option really is Epic, really Rev 4, which means like the 9XXX type series. And really within that, there's only like 2 or 3 that actually make the grade. And within those, the number of those that are actually existing out there as bare metal servers that you can rent in a monthly fashion it's not amazing. I mean, they're out there now, which which more than they were 6 months ago, but they're not like everywhere, So
Need to get some of those dual slot 7950X, baby.
I mean, 7950X does not. I mean, that's not true. I have 2 of them. One passed the benchmark and one did not. So, and also
Dual
depends.
slot. Dual slot.
think that exists. But
know.
oh,
What if it did?
it might do okay. I don't know. The 2 CPU thing is still a little bit out for discussion actually because of the NUMA structure. But usually one fat bastard with a lot of RAM is working out better. And so it's fine. Going back to it's fine, and they're out there and they're expensive, and you got to know what the hell you're looking for, and you know, and even in terms of kernel selection and like how to set up the BIOS, other types of things. Like there's a lot to this. Like it's not just like you point and click, and that part's a bit annoying because if you look back on it, you say, what are we doing this for? And like, what are we trying to achieve? And we're going to achieve some sort of TPS number, which will be cool and it'll be great. But I also
are they chasing the TPS again? Wasn't that the purpose of the last one? They're like, oh, we have to beat our numbers.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, we could both talk about it, but TPS, I think, is a byproduct of trying to find efficiency and scale. And so TPS becomes the yard measurement of that. And so if you say like, oh yeah, we're going to get to some certain number of TPS number, yes, that will be an end result of this work. But there's a ton of other benefits that come along with that, right? There's efficiencies at a whole bunch of different levels, and they the last time they ended up rewriting the whole consensus engine, and they found like a whole bunch of other types of things to be able to grow it, and like the whole direction changed. So it's TPS is I think it is the thing that measures how much changes are going on, or how much where to be able to change, and then like how to find efficiencies, and that efficiency finding finds other issues, and then it helps like build a much more stronger product. So to say it's just chasing TPS is not really fair, because I guess if you look at the end result, yes, we're all looking at TPS, like it comes down to TPS. But behind the scenes, that's just the end product of a whole bunch of other shit, I think that will change over time.
It is fun to think about like how much money is just being fried through doing it though, right? Like through doing this, they're probably, I would say a minimum of $250,000 is going to be spent over the 2 weeks.
Absolute minimum, but way more than that.
Yeah. I was trying to give as low as I could within reason. I mean, for like sure, 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm sure the three of us are being pretty frugal about it. I think some other teams are probably, if you're at AWS, you're probably, I mean, what do you spend $5-6 grand a month?
I could,
or more, right? Times 2 or 3 or 4.
I've got a pretty good idea of what that spec costs, and
yeah, they're not.
And you need 4 of them. How much?
You need 2 of them for the vals. For the VFNs, you could probably get away.
But they're not going to do that. If they're going to just piss off into the wind that, I'm just peon number 8, I'm just going to get the big spec they recommend, they're just going for the big spec.
But you're not going to, the VFNs don't need the same spec. Like, even if you're just going to YOLO the bank, you're not going to get VFNs with the same spec. I don't think anybody runs, unless you're like running much smaller boxes, I don't think anybody runs the same spec vals and VFNs, do they? That's
what they recommend. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they recommend.
4 boxes with that spec. Are you kidding?
No, that's what they recommend. Yeah, we're not, because we,
they recommended that. They recommended that last time too. But
if you're not careful about that, that could potentially burn $40,000, like ballpark. That's as far as I could tell the costing calculator on AWS for that. That's why. To be fair, like when this stuff has come up and the answer has been like, well, the availability of the box isn't great, but worst case scenario, there's always cloud providers. We are very positive about cloud providers as they have a place in this discussion, even when bare metal is cheaper. We've been there, we've done that, we whatever. There is, yeah.
Do you know in their Terraform are they speccing the same box twice? Did they do that before when you were running? You
would have to modify it yourself and redeploy. But it's all. I'm
asking what their Terraform is like. Does it automatically spec the same spec
unless they've made a new Terraform config purely for PreviewNet?
Yeah.
It will just have the mainnet config still in it, which is off the top of my head C6i 16XL with 64,000 IOPS.
But does that use the VFN as well? Because when you were
doing
doing
it before, the same for validation VFN, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm curious on what they're doing.
Oh, right, yeah. But you would config that's just by default. You would override both
Is
of
it like a
those in the-
variable
in
or
the Helm
something?
chart.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not in the Helm chart. In the basically in the TF-vars, you would override both of those, and you can do so.
Yeah.
If you knew what you would do, oh right, yeah, okay. You would have to know what to look, but if you're using the Terraform, you will know Terraform, so you'll first.
I'm
thing you'll
really curious on what they would recommend, and if they are recommending the same thing twice or not. That's all.
do, yeah, I mean, I
would-
guess
I would
now I
predict
think
so.
about it, it would, if it's set up exactly the same way as the main net, if you don't override the default, it will run two of the same thing.
Yeah.
Which would be one way of doing it. It would be a very expensive way of doing it. But
Yeah.
given that the VFN is just a relayer anyway, if the VFN tips over, your validator continues working.
It does. I was saying before, last time we had, we're kind of spilling who this is, but last time we had they pointed a lot of their traffic at our VFN, like their traffic generating transactions at our VFN, which I don't know if they picked everybody or if they had they probably picked 20 or 30 or people or whatever. And so we had a ton of inbound on the VFN. And so the VFN was just basically consuming all that and putting it on chain. So that thing was busy. Like it was busy. Where in the past, all it was doing was just following the chain. Nothing was happening. So we were accepting those transactions. And so we didn't have to upgrade anything. I don't remember, but I remember being concerned because we spec'd it down like one would. And next thing you know, like we have, it was like 5,000 requests a second on the API. So it was a bit of something.
Right, but that was like what were you running that time? That was equivalent of like
Those are all shit. What were we running last time? I think it was a
288 288s or whatever they're called.
No, I ran some badass motherfucker back then. It was a 7V13. I ran a 7V13 Epic, which is a kind of middle of the road core, but really high clock spec on that. And then I think the VFN was like just a 5950X, if I remember. It was something like that. It was or maybe a 7313P or something like that. It was something along those lines.
So like
something with
so the Val was meaty as fuck, but the VFM was just YOLO.
Yeah.
It was a €60 Hetzner box, basically.
Yeah. So it was anyway. The whole point being is that there's a right now if you own any Epic let's see, if you hold any let's see, Epic
9254s
9274 9254 9374Fs.
Yeah,
I'm shopping 9474Fs. If you got any of those, put them on the web. There's a market right now.
Get that shit in a web form.
Get paid for that
people
motherfucker.
can give you a credit card for it.
Yeah, I'm hoping the sweet spot is at 9374F. Honestly, that is a 32 core, 64 thread, 3.85 gigahertz with a 4.3 gigahertz boost across 64 threads. Like that thing is humming with a terabyte of RAM. Let's go.
I think we reserved you with terabyte of RAM. I
think 768 actually is what it is.
We reserved a couple of 9254s, I want to say, with 512, but remembered that like we were really scraping the bottom of the barrel to find these fuckers, and then Shortsy pointed to somewhere we might be able to get them in the Netherlands, and it's slightly different spec. I think it's 90. Is it 90? It's 93 series, isn't it?
9354, yeah.
Is 9354, yeah.
9354 and the Flash P. I think that's 3264, right? Versus 2448.
Yeah, and then I think 512 RAM. So still a beefy unit.
I think anything above a 9254, you're okay. I think you got to get above that 3 gigahertz base clock. I think is kind of the key.
It seems like it, yeah. And then I think was it Shorty you were saying that you had to do you have to upgrade the kernel? Did I hallucinate that?
No, you do. With the base kernel that it comes with, it's a dramatic difference.
Was that just what OS were you running on the box?
You started Ubuntu 20. You started Ubuntu 22, right?
Yes.
So that still is at Linux. That still has the 5.x kernel, just like Debian 11. Linux
that's the current
6.
LTS, right? 22, or is there
yeah,
another one
yeah.
since? Because I know
It's 2304 is the most recent one.
And Linux 6.x kernel is a pretty big bump. Like I ran that back in the last preview net. I was running 6.05 or something. Because it literally was like an 8% bump for doing a kernel upgrade. And so now I'm on Debian 12. Debian 12 ships with 6.1, and now 6.5 is out. And I haven't really done the spec difference, Schultze, between 6.1 and 6.5. I don't think it's nearly as big, but you jumping from 5 to 6.5 is huge. Like it's probably 15% or something like that.
No. It was 50% in one of the benchmarks.
Yeah, that's weird. I know you said that before. That doesn't really hold based on what I know. But who knows? That could be like a driver thing or something. Whatever.
I imagine it was driver thing because it was that very specific channel, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else was basically the same, but that one specific one was like just got skyrocketed.
Yeah. Well, it was yeah. So some of that stuff, and like again, like this is like one of those things where like, you could point the money gun at AWS and like this stuff is somewhat figured out, right? But here we're dealing with specific kernel versions and like what the NVMe channels are and how fast the
would
PCI
have
lanes are.
absolutely been scratching my head on that one if Schultze hadn't mentioned it. But
Yeah.
might actually have ended up getting off lightly by just I think I went with 20. I want to say 2304 anyway, so I think it might be sorted because I think that's the newer version of the kernel.
So for my second box, I pulled 23 and I haven't received it yet. So I don't know if that'll require an upgrade or not. We're going to find out soon.
23, I think ships with 6.1, similar to Debian 12, I think.
Yeah, I think it does.
I think you're right.
I think you don't need to futz around with the upgrades, and I was being a lazy prick, so I was like, I think
It's just I think you're basically adding another repo and just reinstalling, putting a kernel on top of it. That's all. So
yeah, but you know,
from an app perspective, it's pretty straightforward. It's nice.
Oh yeah, I mean,
not like the old days, man. Like fucking,
not like the old days, man.
Running fucking GCC commands and shit and trying to.
How do you think I got these cards?
Praying when that thing reboots, like please fucking boot.
I mean, but that's just the same with all technology, isn't it? You always look back and you're like, fuck, it was so much worse in the old days. And then you just open like Node.js and get 18,000 errors from like a website, like a simple one-page website. And you're like, this is the future. This is fine. And you're like, yeah, it used to be really harrowing to do hardware. I'm so glad that front-end development is really nice now.
I remember hard coding HTML. Wasn't that bad?
I've got some for this. Yesterday, I was writing tests, and in my integration tests, I would run the same thing twice, one for pull requests, one for pushes, right? And for pushes, the test would pass, but for pull requests, it wouldn't. And I tried changing all these different things. And this is just for the one test. And so the way I got around it was I just removed that test system. I was like, nah, I guess we're not running tests on pull requests anymore. Because I don't allow PRs I don't allow PRs unless, everything passes, right? It has got to build, it's got all the tests, got to pass, blah, blah, blah. But good old days.
Beautiful days. So,
what else is going on?
Drill tweet of the week is what's going
let's
down.
do it.
Schultze, you're up this week.
Oh, geez. Now.
Left page or right page?
Right page, third from the top.
Third from the top. Okay. We're in the muscles and fitness section.
Oh, Null's specialty.
It's actually.
You're on mute because you're so ripped.
25% body fat, baby.
Yeah, boy.
Is he in the book?
It has mention of engineering, to be fair, in this one. So
here we go.
Holy shit. So think you've got it rough. Try engineering blog posts while trying to suck down 2 whole baby bottles full of muscle milk before the solstice ends. There was a lot going on in that one. That was
just replace that with writing technical proposals of some sort.
Yeah, to be fair, writing technical documentation while trying to suck down 2 bottles of muscle milk before the solstice ends. And I was like, fucking same.
Running my Ansible.
You're speaking my language, bro, brother.
So on that.
So
what we're talking about is I was talking about this before the thing started. I went and got a Baudet scan. It's a thing you go stand on and you hold some stuff, and then it gives you all these details about your body. And so after the scan,
Okay, go ahead.
After the scan, I'm standing there with a guy, and we're looking through the results on the screen, and it comes down to the body fat percentage. It's like 24.7% body fat, and I said,
I mentioned it.
"That's quite bad, isn't it?" And he's like, "It's not great." And I was like, "Well, you know, how what kind of things should I be doing to try and improve the situation?" And he's like, "You like a beer, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." Yeah. And he said,
This is Australia, isn't it?
"You should probably stop that." And I was like, "Yeah,
You like a beer?
it's kind of a deal breaker for me."
Like, I'm from Australia. We all like a beer. The fuck kind of question is that?
Did he
I think I'm
immediately
just going to try and
after-
make the 25 the new 12.
Did he immediately after then say, "Won't you have a beer with me, mate?"
Like, hey, what? You
I mean,
busy?
this was taking place in the closet at the pub, so
Yeah. And then you were like, "Well, you've just told me not to drink, so I'm not going to do that." And he was like, "Why won't you have a bloody beer with me, mate?
You're like, why am I
You
standing
think
on a
you're
hot?
too good for me, mate?"
You're
And
standing
then-
on a hot plate holding 2 9-volt batteries or something. It's like, yeah, just stand there, dude. You got to take all your clothes off first, though.
Yeah.
Put this egg in your mouth.
anyway, I don't recommend it. It's quite eye opening.
So what prompted this decision to go get this
I've just-
information?
I mean, I've been throughout COVID. So I got a couple of injuries, like a couple of years ago, or like a year and a half ago, and because I used to be reasonably fit. I used to run a lot and go to the gym, right? And I got some injuries, and then I had quite a long time off doing anything because I like recovered, and then I went back to the gym straight away and like started, just getting excited and shooting for old PBs, and like re-injured myself twice after 2 recoveries. And I was like, I think I need to just have a year or so to like let this thing just come back to like my shoulder fix itself.
Yeah.
And so yeah, because it's like doing real weird. Like I think it had also trained itself to just use a front delt a lot instead of your chest. Anyway, so I had a very long time off, and then I started drinking shitloads of beer when I was off, and just eating like shit as well.
As one does.
And so and whiskey. Woo! And so anyway, I went back to training about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And
Is it irritating?
and-
Like, you feeling? Is that shoulder hurting?
no, it's great. It's great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I had over a year off. And it was immediately when I went back just much better. I don't have it was doing weird muscle things. Like it was using other muscles, and then it was just really compensating with the other muscles. And then eventually, and I was doing things that you probably shouldn't do, like pullovers and stuff with an injured shoulder, and yeah, it just threw the whole thing off again. But I was getting like lots of weird nerve and neck and shoulder shit going on all at the same time. It was just like time to just let it do its thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've been back for a while, and then it's like I'm going through a body recomposition from fat bastard to less fat bastard, and I didn't do like any composition scan when I first started. So this was like my first comp scan to measure progress really. So I'll go back in 6 weeks and just make sure I'm heading in the right direction. But
Okay.
I think probably the 25, like it's 24 point something % body fat. It's not actually that. It doesn't look
That
terrible.
doesn't seem that
It's
bad,
not-
right? I
it's
thought
not
I
that
forgot
bad.
the percentages.
Is that BMI or is that a different thing?
No, it's different. It's like
BMI is
actually I've got
different.
20.
Oh,
So this thing tells you exactly how many kilos of fat you're carrying, and I'm carrying 20 kilos of fat out of 80 kilos.
Jesus.
So it's still a fair bit, but probably what was worse is the visceral fat, which was above what you need to be. So
What's visceral fat? Skin.
it's like no, it's like
fat.
around, like all around your organs, like in behind your like abdominal muscles and up into your
Is that the
cavity. It's
gloopy-
like
gloopy hidden stuff.
yeah, it's like all the shit that's in your so I have like at the moment, ever since I had COVID, I've got like some issue like taking deep breaths. I have like a shortness of breath ever since I had COVID like 2 years ago. And so I think this might be somewhat related, is that I might have like developed just a whole shitload of visceral fat in that time as well. I'm not sure if that's
That might
much
be
of a
it.
Yeah,
factor, but
On the council here, that average, I remember this as well, because I think mine's pretty similar to yours, because the average here is 18 to 24% for men, and 25% plus is considered obese. And I remember being like right on the top end of that line. Like, I was like, not obese. Thanks, doc. And
like there's
so-
people who do crazy shit and get down to like 6s and stuff like that,
But
but you look
that's
quite
not
good at
healthy.
like 15.
yeah,
Like 15, you look really good.
it says
So-
athletes are 6 to 13%. Fitness is 14 to 17%. That's like a fitness body is 14 to 17%, which sounds about right? That sounds about what you're saying.
Yeah, so I want to be sort of around maybe 16 or 18, maybe. Yeah,
18 is
I
the
think
bottom
any-
end of average. 24 is the high end of average. Seems like a pretty good, decent goal.
Yeah, I think like I'm far from an athlete, and like shooting for that type of range is just probably unrealistic for me. So, particularly like with my lifestyle, I actually have reduced my beer intake by quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and my partner is pissed. So,
Suddenly become way less fun.
I mean, it's our thing, right? We go to pubs and we drink piss.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
so the two things I get in trouble. I go on health kicks occasionally, and the two things I get in trouble for is stopping coffee and beer, and
Yeah.
that's when
I know.
the knives come out. So
Yep.
I'm like, so she told me, she said, if you exercise, you can compensate by drinking beer, and you'll be just fine.
So, well, there is a
Anything else?
bit of truth to that, but it's
Mhm.
it's quite specific, right?
Well, the
Beer is-
problem is
Beer
that
is isotonic, so you can actually use and asterisk in the beer, fermented proper beer is isotonic, and you can have one or two after extended exercise, and it does add some minerals back in, and you definitely will have burnt off the calories, but that's from cardio. That's not from weights.
the big problem is like weights is muscle destruction, and you need like good calories and minerals to like repair
Yeah.
as well as proteins. And when you drink beer or any alcohol after training or within days of training, your body actually has to process and get rid of the alcohol first, and it adds calories, and it does nothing because it's essentially a poison to your body. Your body gets rid of it first, and so you don't actually process any good shit that you've eaten at the same time or in near
Yeah, I mean, if you're
proximity.
looking to like compete or whatever, I don't think if you do any sport, you should be drinking beer after you do exercise. But if you're like, if you're like like I just know about it from the lens of cycling, right? Which is you cycle 100 kilometers, you burn 3,500 calories on a ride. You can fucking drink beer till the cows come home all day, every
it doesn't
day for
matter,
the rest of the
right.
week, and
Yeah.
no, you're never going to put on any weight. Absolutely not. And a couple of pints after a long ride.
So
That's
what
tough.
I think in terms of like my progress, like my journey and beer, is that I just need to drink less for a while to just get be able to progress down to closer to where I want to be, and then maybe not go back to where the amount of beer I was drinking, but then be more sociable with beer. But yeah, I mean, the problem is that if I expend all the calories and then replace them with beer where I'm at, then the problem is I'm not going to make any progress. But if I can get a good amount of progress down to like, the body shape I want, then, it's beer in moderation after that is more or less maintaining. So, and if you start to like get to where you don't want to be again, you just stop for a while and yo your beer drinking and become completely like, Instagram hoe.
Oh man. So you're going to keep us all updated as this goes every 6 weeks? You're going to check in? Can we graph it somewhere?
Look, if there's interest, we can
I'll send you all my,
include it as
I'll send you all my
6
shit
weekly,
coins.
but